Well, good Tuesday morning. Welcome to the WLBB Community Voice here on News Talk 1330 FM 106.3, streaming live online at newstalk1330.com. And this morning we're on the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. So good morning to you tuning in. Feel free to post any questions or comments you have during our program this morning to the Facebook page, and we'll take a gander at them during commercial breaks and, maybe while we're talking a little bit too. My guest this morning, Villa Rica Mayor Gil McDougal, kind enough to join us. They've been in the news for at least a year, I'd say, talking about this tax allocation district and partnering up with Carroll County government and now possibly the Carroll County School Board. 2 weeks ago, maybe it was a week ago, within the last 2 weeks, we'll say, Villa Rica City Council turned down the latest proposal, which was offered to Villa Rica as far as that partnership. We'll find out why exactly they turned that down after, for the last year urging them to participate. We'll get the exact reasoning on that if you haven't heard about it already. We'll talk about plans for the future, see if this does affect that project on the east side. A lot of residences planned for that property on the east side of Villa Rica, right across from Mirror Lake, right? And some businesses as well. We'll talk about why that could be important on this morning's program. Again, with Villa Rica Mayor Gil McDougal. Good morning.
Good morning, Colin. Thank you for having me.
And if we talk about TAD too much, if we TAD it out, we've also got a couple of things to talk about as far as growth. And you guys have proven a budget today, right?
We will. I think we will tonight.
Okay. Well, you'll review that budget and consider approving it later on today. So we'll talk about that too if time permits. Well, remind us, what is the tax allocation district? I mean, there are still questions. I mean, people cannot. I mean, you need to put a good 5-10 minutes into understanding this totally, I think. And a lot of people don't do that. And they just hear the scuttlebutt, what their friends complaining about or what their friends excited about, and they're taking that to town and using that when they defend this or argue against it. What is a tax allocation district, and why is Villa Rica involved in it? What's that plan?
Okay. Well, yeah, I do explain this pretty regularly, and I'll try again. Yeah. So a tax allocation district is a development tool that was sort of put together by the state. And what it does is it gives authorities, it can be the school system, it can be cities, it can be counties, anyone can initiate those. In this case, the city of Villa Rica had a section of completely undeveloped property between Mirror Lake, which is the Douglas County side of Villa Rica, and the downtown part of Villa Rica, which is in Carroll County. But all of this property was in Carroll County, and it had gone undeveloped for all these years. It had been marketed as industrial property for a number of years. But the topo over there is challenging, to say the least. And in that case, developers really need some sort of a partnership to be able to put in the kind of infrastructure that would result in the highest and best use of the property. So what happens is you define the area, the district, and then only the future tax growth from that district alone goes to pay off bonds that are secured to put in the infrastructure.
And it's the immediate. I mean, when we hear the word future, you're making me think it could be way down the road when you start it, but it's immediate. I mean, once that tax district is created, and I guess the buildings are developed, the businesses are developed, that's when you start collecting it. It's not like you're going to wait 10 years to start it up or anything.
Right. Well, keep in mind that ad valorem taxes, your property taxes, that's all we're talking about here is the ad valorem part. And those require reassessments, and they're not going to be reassessed until they're finished. So it won't be immediate in terms of deferring any taxes or putting any tax money back into paying off those bonds. However, once the retail section, because this project contains a good bit of retail and residential. Once the retail begins to collect any type of sales taxes, that money goes immediately to the authorities as they're defined in terms of their allocation. So the schools would get their money, their SPLOST money, the county would get theirs, and the city would get theirs, irrespective of the TAD deal. The TAD money is limited to future ad valorem assessments only. So the base where it is when you start the TAD, everybody continues getting that money. That never changes. The only thing that they defer or put into paying off these bonds is the future assessments from that growth.
And it's just from this TAD?
Only from the TAD. No dollar will be spent anywhere that's not generated right there by those Villa Rica taxpayers in that TAD. The beneficiaries of this infrastructure pay the entire bill for this. So,
and this is a tool that other communities have used so far. The City of Carrollton is going to ask voters for permission to be able to have those powers this November, but it seems like their TAD's a little bit different. And I hope that doesn't confuse people. I mean, they're talking about being able to pay. I mean, they don't have any giant projects planned. They do want to clean up some blighted territory and improve some businesses, improve some buildings and things like that. But they're going to pay as they go. They're not going to get a.
That's what I understand.
Yeah,
yes.
They're not looking to get a loan on that one. So why is it? Why are those different? And I mean, obviously, your project's going to be a lot bigger, so it does make sense that you're going to get a lot of money up front.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I think what they're talking about, and I wouldn't want to speak for Carrollton too much, but I think they're talking about redeveloping a section of town. Mm-hmm. Really, I think over on the Maple Street side. What we're talking about is entirely new development. So it needs roads and it needs water and sewer lines to make this project work. So we didn't start out with this TAD having had a developer. There was not a developer when we started this. We started in 2018 getting the authority from the voters, which is what Carrollton is about to do in November. So we got that back in 2018, but we didn't have a project planned for it. In our minds, we thought that the first one might occur over there in that area, but we didn't have any idea that this particular developer would show up. He only showed up last April.
And he's done something like this before, right?
Oh, he's done more than 100 of these type of projects, and they've all been in excess of $100 million. What he's proposing here is a $140 million project. Mm-hmm. It would bring a new 60,000 square foot grocery store into this district, and it would have 80 to 100,000 more retail space in addition to the grocery store, a new gas station, and then multiple out parcels for restaurants. It would really enhance the quality of life for a great deal of our citizens in Villa Rica, but also surrounding areas who would come in here to spend their money there and shop. Mm-hmm. So I think that our projections are that the sales tax from that retail piece alone is substantial, far outweighs the ad valorem assessment that would be set aside to pay off these bonds from the various authorities.
Now, the potential partnership with Carroll County government, you guys went back and forth, sent proposals, they sent them back. They sent one, again, within the last 2 weeks, and kind of felt like that was like, this is final, this is our last offer, take it or leave it. Why didn't you guys take that?
Well, there were we did do a lot of back and forth, and it we knew early on that the county was sort of concerned about the impact of growth on the fire service. Through a service delivery strategy agreement with the county, Villa Rica gets its fire service through Carroll County. So they were concerned that if you bring in this type of growth, what impact would it have on the fire service? Now, for us, and we're not in the fire business, and so I'm not really trying to speak for, the fire chief or anybody at the county. But because of the size of this development, we didn't think it would have much impact on the fire service. But they believed that it would, and so we got to talking about how we might have this TAD support that fire service. So we got around to having we could buy capital with TAD money. So we were going to acquire property and build a fire station, a 2-bay fire station, and include as a capital expense 2 fire trucks.
And that would actually go in the TAD.
It would go in the TAD, and it would be entirely paid for out of those TAD proceeds. So there was just a few little points back and forth that really came down to the language. And you're right, the last one that they sent us, they said was a final offer. And I think that they had really wanted the one before that, the August 8th one, to be a final offer. But we went back and looked at it, and there was a number of changes to the language. And it came down to we didn't think that we could secure bond holders with the language that the county had in there. That's how we ended up rejecting that offer, because we didn't think we could even get a bondholder to agree to it. So there were really three elements of that. One was that the funds are audited every year. These TAP funds are they're audited every year. What the county was proposing is that every year after that audit, any excess revenue received into the fund over and above the scheduled principal and interest payment, they wanted the option to sweep that money back out of the account. We didn't think that, and in talking to actually bond underwriters, we didn't think that would work in selling the bonds, because remember, the bondholder is totally at risk here. No general funds will ever back these bonds. So he needs that bond to get paid off as soon as possible. He needs every increment that comes in to go toward paying off that bond. So that was probably the biggest thing in terms of being able to get the bond. Another piece of it was that the county wanted to sort of be in charge of building their own fire station and how they would operate it and all those kinds of things. We got to a place where we were completely okay with that. Where we started having some problems was the money that we were setting aside for that was about $6 million for the fire station and the 2 trucks. And the county, we thought we would be paying that out on a pay-as-you-go type basis. Either they would invoice directly to the city, who would then reimburse out of those bond proceeds, or the county would pay for, the studies, the engineering, the architect, all of those things over a period of time, and then we would pay them back. Well, that's not how the language read. The language read that we would give them $6 million within about, I can't remember exactly, but 60 or 90 days of closing on these bonds. The problem with that is that $6 million leaving the fund takes away the ability for it to earn interest to offset the cost of these bonds, and it actually would cost the city of the TAD itself about $718,000 in interest just in the first 3 years. So it was getting to a point where you had diminishing returns. You just simply were not at a place where it made any sense, because it cost too much. It blew the size of the bonds way up, and then that was obviously going to create a longer payback period. Keep in mind, we started out with this thing thinking that we'd probably have a 30-year or something like that limit on these bonds, but we thought we'd pay it off in 10 years or less. But the bigger it grows, the less likely that is to happen. So
you said that you thought they would agree to that. Did they say they would? I mean, or were you guys just hopeful?
Agree to what?
As far as the fire department paying it as you go?
No, they never did agree to that. I think we thought up front that was the way that it would work.
Okay.
Because we didn't see any other way to do it. I mean, in fact, the largest developer here at Fuqua will build his own road, but then he'll be reimbursed out of the TAD funds. And the way that happens is that he builds the whole thing, and then we reimburse him as it is completed.
Right.
And our development agreements would also tie his reimbursement to making sure that he builds what he says he's going to build. So
time right now is 8:44. Gil McDougal is mayor for the city of Villa Rica, talking about the tax allocation district, where it goes from here, if it goes. I mean, you guys are determined still to make this project happen, even if it's not considered a TAD. I mean, you're looking for help from the Board of Education right now, Carroll County Schools. Does that make it? How much more difficult does it make it on you to not have support from both of those entities?
Well, we still want to have support from both of those entities, and there may still be a way to do that. We're not writing anybody off, but the county said that was their final offer on that. So we've asked the school system if they would consider letting us come and talk to them about it. How we develop is really, really important, and for us to be able to use this tool, this redevelopment tool called the TAD, is important in how we build over there, because what has been happening over the years is there is resistance to development. And when that happens, property owners will just build their own. So they'll put in their own roads, they'll put in their own lift stations. And when they do that, they build what they want to build. And then you have a hodgepodge of developments all around the city. We have 36 lift stations to accomplish this right now. That's an overwhelming number. We're trying to look at this regionally, or at least district-wide. So in the TAD, we would be able to build all of that infrastructure ourselves and make it all work without all of these multiple lift stations. If you just let each property owner go in there and do their own thing, put in their own limited roads, their own limited infrastructure, you continue to have this hodgepodge of development. You don't stop it. You just get a less desirable development out of it.
Before I do take this first break, I'm going to take two pretty close together, but I mean, I guess you have some leverage over the school board, because they know if you guys go on with this project, these new residences, there's going to be some new kids, and the schools in Villa Rica, they're already talking about how they're already crowded. I mean,
well, I don't use the word leverage. What I say is that we have always believed right from day one that the schools were going to be the benefactor to this, because we knew that if we put in this infrastructure, we were going to be able to have leverage over the development and what type of development goes in. In fact, this whole time we have been working to secure age-restricted housing and housing that would appeal to young couples, appeal to young couples who didn't have kids and would not be planning to have kids probably for some time. There's no guarantee in that, but it's the target audience that we were working on. And what we found out just recently is we have some of those 55 and up, the age-restricted housing. They're coming back for rezoning, asking to have that restriction removed from their property.
Is that because it's taking so long? Or?
It's because the TAD is taking so long. They don't have confidence that it's going to happen. We think we can still go back and pull them in if we can get this deal. But that is what we think really benefits the schools, because they're at capacity. So it's not that they're not going to have to increase capacity, but we can slow down that time frame by doing this type of development.
All right, I really do need to take this first break. 8:47, Community Voice brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy.
Health is a journey. It's making better choices, even when it's not easy. It's taking care of yourself and the people you love. At Tanner Health System, we're there for you with every step, with primary care, heart care, cancer care, women's care, orthopedics, surgical services, and so much more. We're dedicated to helping you live and feel your best. So let's get on that journey to health. You've got places to be for many years to come. Find us at tanner.org.
As a believer in the power of education, we are called to set the standard by shaping and empowering the minds of future generations through quality education. Oak Mountain Academy embraces this philosophy, which is why my children attend this prestigious school. I am elated to serve on the OMA Board of Trustees, where together we prepare students and remind them to trust and believe in the power to transform the world. I'm Dr. Brian Bain, inviting you to celebrate our 60-year legacy of academic excellence. Visit us at oakmountain.us.
8:48, welcome back to the WLBB Community Voice, News Talk 1330 FM 106.3, the News Talk 1330 WLBB Facebook page. I'm Colin Worthington. My guest this morning is Gil McDougal, Mayor for the City of Villa Rica, talking a whole lot about the tax allocation district, intergovernmental agreements with Carroll County and possibly the Carroll County School Board. That's where the conversations are right now with the school board. How far have those discussions gone?
So when the council voted to reject the IGA from the county, they also authorized or indicated that the mayor and city manager should approach the school. We've done that. They have offered to have us come in and meet with the full board, and we're in the process of scheduling that now. So we'll see where we're at with that, hopefully pretty soon. I'd say probably in the next week or so. Time is of the essence now. We're getting down to the very end.
We would have thought so a long time ago. How about your relationship with Jeff Fuquay, the developer for all this? How has that changed, if at all, over the last several months with the fact that it's still going on like this?
Well, Jeff is still in. He has really the grocery store is what brought Jeff into this project, and they are still on go for doing it. So he's still in. He obviously would like for us to have had this already done, but at this point, I think he's got a close date in November. So we'll have to have something together by the time he closes. We'll have to have a development agreement in place with him, which will include how the infrastructure will be accomplished.
So does that mean you guys could get left with that bill? The city of Villa Rica itself?
Well,
Oh, you got to say worst case scenario. I mean, you guys want this project, right?
yeah, I mean, there are ways to still get this done. It scales the project back a lot, and it changes the dynamics of what goes into these parcels. Because keep in mind, these are property owners. They have a right to develop their property at the highest and best use. So they're going to end up developing them anyway. But if we don't participate in this in a way that really makes all of this stuff work together, then you're going to have a hodgepodge of developments over there. So, yeah, the city will find a way to be able to do the part that it's already agreed to with Jeff, which is really just his road, just the road that comes from Shoreline to downtown. We think we can do that, but man, it leaves that project lacking in what it could have been and how much better it could have performed for all of these authorities. I mean, the type of development that was going in there because of this type of infrastructure, all of the infrastructure, was going to raise the revenues for ad valorem tax significantly for all authorities. And they only defer this money for so long as it takes to pay off the bonds. And then they go to the full ad valorem. And keep in mind, the developer himself pays the entire tax bill. He doesn't get any break on his taxes at all. His only benefit here is that the infrastructure is being put in.
And that he has these developments that he'll sell and make money on. But
for sure.
Yeah, right. But we'd expect that. So when we see people talk about the developer's going to make money, well, of course he is. I mean, that's part of the plan. The fire station that Carroll County was suggesting, you didn't convince me that you believed that you would need a new fire station with this development.
Well, my point is I'm not a fire expert. And if they believe they need another fire station, then, that I'm going to defer to them on that. What my point was, I didn't think that this development alone would require another fire station. And I still don't see that. That doesn't mean that another fire station is not needed. It probably is needed. And certainly Carroll County believes it's needed. But I'm just talking about the Fuqua development itself, just this TAD district. It's a small area. It's going to be densely populated, and it's all new construction. It's hard to see how that has a significant impact on fire service.
Again, you did send proposals to Carroll County. They sent them back. You guys went back and forth, and obviously the latest was not to your liking. But when Carroll County did approve their intergovernmental agreement, it was, 4-3, 3-2, whatever it is. It squeaked by.
It was 4-3.
Yeah, so, and we want to believe that our commissioners, as well as our city council people, are representing the constituents and their beliefs when they do that kind of thing. What do you feel is the issue with the other half of the Board of Commissioners, which may affect the proposals they send?
Well, I can only base this on the comments that I heard. But it seems to me that there is a misunderstanding or misconception that this particular district is going to cost some other municipality in the county. Mm-hmm. And that's just not the case. All of this will be generated only in that TAD, only in that district, and it will be paid for only in that district. So, but somehow there was a misunderstanding about whether or not this would cost the rest of the county money, and it doesn't.
Do you think there's an attempt to maybe shut down growth as far as, there are plenty of concerns about crime and people think about, don't blame everything on Atlanta or Douglas County or whatever. Or do you think there are concerns about the growth and trying to quash that growth and keep Villa Rica the population it is now?
I think there may be, a minority voice for that as it relates to cities. I think that as it relates to the county, it does seem to me that the county is moving in a direction to try to maybe close the door on growth and development, certainly as it applies to housing. But I think that it seems to me that there's at least enough support on the county commission and on the school boards to accept that cities have to grow, that they're meant to grow, that that's where growth occurs. But if not, if your premise is correct, then it becomes increasingly more difficult to get something of this type of magnitude and partnership done.
In your discussion, I mean, imagine there's got to be talks about the population of the school age children who will start going to the schools. We talked about the schools are kind of at max capacity right now. Would you guys be on the hand to build a school? And you talked about the fire station where you hope to be able to pay that back over years. Would you try to work out a similar agreement with the board as far as new school?
Well, so keep in mind that the amount of bonds you can get is directly correlates with how much the development will be valued at, because that's how it gets paid off. If you were to build a school in there, that's not taxable property. So
that's the difference.
There's just no way to generate the kind of revenue it would take. I believe.
In that bond, you couldn't get any money to pay.
You couldn't get that kind of money, because my understanding is that to build a new school, a new high school, is about $75 million.
Is that it?
So, we feel like that the growth projections in this TAD probably wouldn't support much more than $35 or $40 million.
Guys, I've got 2 minutes left. Gil, anything you want to make sure that you throw out there that we didn't touch on? I mean, something to remind people, voters, Carroll County Board of Education, or the commissioners, anything you want to get out there before we get out?
No. I'm just trying to follow up with anything you got to ask me.
All right. Well, you guys do have a meeting tonight. You can talk about the budget.
That's right.
Anything you want to say about that? It's less than last year's budget, right? It's like 12% less, 22% less?
Right. Well, so we'll have our final hearing tonight, and then I think we'll probably adopt the budget. I haven't heard that there are a lot of modifications to it, so that'll occur at 6 o'clock tonight at the Holt Bishop Justice Center for anybody who wants to come out. There'll be an opportunity to speak. But I expect we'll probably pass that budget out tonight.
And Kelly Smith Height, we saw that you did check in a few minutes back, but I think we talked a little bit about your concerns during the program. So hopefully you did hear those answers. You can go back and listen to it on our website at newstalk1330.com. You can go back and watch the Facebook program if you did miss that. And that goes for everybody else as well. Gil, good to see you again.
Good to see you.
And good luck with this. It'd be nice to have it taken care of one way or the other. 8:58 Community Voice is brought to you by Tanner Health System and Oak Mountain Academy on News Talk 1330. Stay tuned now for national headlines followed by your local news.